Welcome, guys, to episode 2 of Kayfabe's Not Dead. We made it for another episode. I don't know how, but we
Because we're
somehow
not
figured it
dead.
out. Yeah, we're not
We
dead
weathered we weathered the storm. Good for us.
yet. So we actually have everybody on camera today, which I still can't believe we managed to get that. But this episode's going to be all about Payback, the surprisingly pretty good pay-per-view. Spoiler alert.
Yes.
Very
good
payback on my
pay-per-view.
liver, that's for sure.
Yeah, going in, I thought this was not going to be good at all, especially with the shakeup kind of screwing up all the feuds. But without any ado, I guess we should talk about the pre-show.
All right, going into the pre-show, guys. I gotta say, I am the only one that predicted this match correct, and I went with Enzo and Cass. Dap,
And can I say this about you being the only one that predicted this correct? As we like to say in the South, even the sun shines on a dog's ass every once in a while. It was about time Enzo and Cass finally won a tag match.
Well, it's like the battle of the two jobbers as far as the teams are concerned. So, somebody has to win that match.
Yeah.
I mean, the club gets jobbed out for like the millionth time. I can't believe that they've been relegated. When's the last time they won a match? Every time I think about the club, I always think about how Roman Reigns beat them 2-on-1 clean, and they should.
But to be fair, Roman also beat the League of Nations. What was it, 6-1 in under 3 minutes?
Yeah, he's Superman.
To be fair,
four of them being former heavyweight champions.
Yeah, and to be fair, he did end the Undertaker's career.
Can we not talk about that? This is about Payback, not WrestleMania. Moving on. We got Miz TV. Did anybody pay attention? Because I didn't watch it.
My prediction was accurate. I would assume that Finn Balor was going to somehow kick Miz in the face.
I mean, doesn't everybody do that on Miz TV?
Yes, it was almost a given. It was a lob, a soft toss.
Well, Jess,
that man is a national treasure, and for him to be disrespected this way is unacceptable.
He's a gent.
I'm assuming you're talking about Finn Balor.
No, the Miz.
Oh, wait. There are people that like the Miz. What?
Yeah, if it wasn't for him, there wouldn't
How
be
dare
Marine
you.
3, 4, and 5.
Oh man, what would the world do without the Marine series?
They would be stuck with John Cena's Marine 1 and Randy Orton's Marine 2.
Oh
Speaking
my God.
of which, we need to do a special episode where we review the Marine series.
We're gonna do a
first
commentary.
That is gold.
I was about to say, Hodap, you've seen all of them. You'd be the only person I would know that has seen all of them.
I've only seen the first one when it was a legit movie in theaters with John Cena, where
You
he
would be the only one to go
single-handedly
see it in theater.
took on the Taliban to free all the POWs, just so the general can come into the weight room while he's sitting there like shrugging 1,000 pounds,
So
being like, "You're
So
dishonorably
they
discharged."
Is he
essentially
talking Rambo?
Yeah, I was about to say they essentially took Rambo 2 and put it in Iraq.
Well, yeah, pretty much what they did is they took Rambo 2, but then every time Rambo normally would have said they drew first blood, they replaced it with an image of John Cena's face, and you heard da 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 da.
All right, we're getting sidetracked.
I gotta rewatch this movie. I'm not remembering any of this. Moving on.
All right, so
On to the main show.
Surprisingly, the first match was Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho for the
And
United
I
States
just want to
Championship.
say, like our title of the podcast, I told both of you Chris Jericho is going to win, and Kayfabe's not dead because he deserved that victory.
I honestly, with Fozzy going on tour and having that kind of info at hand, I mean they literally have tour dates. I think he's starting in like 4 days. I thought there was no chance in hell that Jericho had a chance, but I'm definitely happy with the way this match went. I thought it was a great fight.
My heart knew he was going to win this with a lion tamer clean in the center after breaking that damn finger.
Sir,
screwed him.
sir, it's called the Walls of Jericho. Sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're not in WCW anymore.
Let me just interject real quick by saying I feel that a lot that happened on this pay-per-view was written for the smart fan. I think they took things in a new direction. We all knew Jericho was going back with his band. For him to win, it definitely was a shock.
It definitely swerved us for sure. And I love how KO did the one finger callback to WrestleMania, and then Jericho just says, you know what? You can't grab the rope if I shatter your hand. And I think at first he was stomping on just the finger, but then he just is like, fuck it, and just starts destroying his entire hand.
Yep. That's the sign of a true wrestler.
Now, because of the injury to his hand, was that why KO couldn't do the pop-up powerbomb?
Yes.
I think that's why he dropped him.
Yes, I believe so.
I've heard nothing saying that was a legitimate botch, so I have to believe it was storytelling, yes.
Yeah, and so, Jericho wins by locking in the walls. I think this actually makes Jericho the first person to win every active belt 2 times over for the Grand Slam.
Oh, I don't know. I know he's won a 7 for the Grand Slam with, like, Daniel Bryan and, like, 5 others. I don't know if it's like you've won all of them twice.
No.
I don't know.
I think he's the only person to do it twice.
Oh.
Because he obviously had the U.S. belt twice. Now that he's won it off of KO for who did he beat the first time to get it? This was before I came back into wrestling. He was already the champ at the time of the Royal Rumble.
Who had it before?
Was it Rusev?
Oh, you know what? I think it was. I think it might have been Rusev. But just like, just anyway,
I was gonna say, I'm drawing a blank. Well, let's move on.
Just like his trunks, he really is the GOAT though. If he's really won, everything
he is one
twice.
of the greatest of all time. You can't argue that. But moving on, what's our next match?
He's a gent. He's a global icon.
Oh well, wait. After the match, before we move on, after the match, did you guys notice how Jericho found the kid with the list of Jericho?
Yes. And signed it.
And he signed it. It already had KO written on it.
Yep.
Now, obviously we'll talk about SmackDown and Raw later, but I was wondering, do you guys think because KO lost, he was gonna keep the face of America gimmick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Undoubtedly. Yeah. Once an opening changes for somebody when they come out to the ring, their entrance, I feel that's a gimmick that's going to stick. So I think he will be the face of America again very soon.
And nothing makes you hate a heel more than when they come out making their own title, like the Brahma Bull title, the championship, or the Smoking Skull belt when Austin was a heel. Like, the fact that he keeps saying, I'm the greatest of all time, best in America, face of America, it's like, but you lost. Nope, still the face of America.
Also, I think this was technically the longest match on the card. It kind of goes back to why I was a little disappointed in the WrestleMania match, because they weren't that match was kind of quick.
I know they can do great stuff. You had to give a lot to Undertaker and Reigns for WrestleMania.
Yeah, you had to give an hour to that. But moving on, then we had the Cruiserweight Championship match between Neville and Austin Aries. I thought it was a great match, but I love most of the 205 stuff. So
I liked the match just to know that Neville is a true heel, just like Jess's favorite girl, Alexa Bliss. They actually cheat. They actually cheat, and they cheat well.
Yeah, I actually made a note on that. That he is definitely one of the top heels. He DQs himself by grabbing the ref and basically just throwing him so that he can break the the last chancery.
Yeah.
He doesn't lose the belt. I have to say
this about just the growth of 205. I actually tuned in for it after SmackDown, after this pay-per-view, and I've been following it a little more regularly as of late.
Wow.
I still have not. I only know the 4 people that they put on Raw.
And I have to say that's all that's worth watching.
And them damn Fucking Bollywood boys.
Now,
Well, we'll get there.
do you guys think this feud is going to keep going till SummerSlam?
Yes.
I feel they need to shake it up if they're going to continue it.
I think they are by throwing in TJP. I think that's how
Yeah.
they're kind of mixing it up.
Should we address the TJP in the room, or should we just leave it as he's now TJP?
Well, them making me call him TJP is definitely doing the job of making me hate him.
They said it 18 times in 2 minutes.
Oh my
on
god!
205.
If you
I
want
started counting.
if you want a legit drinking challenge, watch SmackDown and drink every time somebody says "Face of America." Holy shit, you'll be dead. JBL loves saying it.
Well, he had the cover
Yeah.
for Saxon. Okay, we're breaking the
Yeah.
timeline here. Let's finish up this pay-per-view.
Hodap, did you have anything else on the Cruiserweight?
I like I've always said, I refuse to watch 205 because it's not a
Well,
legit
okay,
show.
well that's
but
actually that's a great point. Because you don't follow the storyline besides what they do on Raw, do you think they did a good job?
I thought they did a good job
Storytelling?
just because I knew Neville, I knew about Austin Aries, I like TJ Perkins. I refuse to call him TJP. And who's the other one that they have for their little team of four?
It wasn't Tozawa.
Could you be talking about Alicia Fox?
Yeah, Alicia Max. Oh crap! Who's his? Who's the person he tags with?
Who was Austin Aries tagging with?
Well, this was a singles match, so.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, usually when TJ Perkins started turning bad, Austin Aries got a guy. I can't remember who it was. He must not be that important because he's number 4 in the 4.
Yeah.
And nobody else cares
Jack
about
Gallagher.
205.
Jack Gallagher.
There you go.
Gallagher?
Yeah, the headbutt guy.
Gallagher.
Yeah, Gallagher.
Yeah, whatever. The redhead. But
the gentleman. The gentleman.
The gentleman.
the gentleman redhead. Pretty much the
How did he
205
not get
Simon
paired
Cowell.
up? How did he not get paired up and they reform the Vaudevillains? That is beyond me.
I have no idea. What I want to know.
Because the Vaudevillains are dead.
What I want to know is I finally watched the Aiden English part, and I'm like, that's the gimmick he had in NXT before Simon Gotch.
Correct.
And I feel like he's up. They're both up. As a tag team, it's like, oh, Simon Gotch, Pete's out. And he's like, Aiden, you're going back with the Aiden English gimmick.
Well, he's
What?
we're getting off topic, but he's definitely getting heat with that gimmick. I've never.
Oh, yeah, he got heat in NXT for
I
it.
never saw that gimmick before he started doing it on SmackDown, and holy crap! I personally am indifferent, but the crowd cannot stand him.
Yeah.
Speaking of the crowd, could anybody be more hyped for the next match?
The Hardy Boys and Cesaro and Sheamus for the tag team belts.
And I knew it. I knew they were going to turn heel.
Well,
Everybody did. You don't have 3 weeks of handshakes if something ain't gonna come of it.
I was surprised that it was this severe, though. Like,
But
it
didn't
wasn't.
I tell you, the only way to break Matt Hardy is to get a 2-on-1 beatdown while Jeff is laying out on the side of the ring.
Well, this was more than just a normal beatdown. Like, this was even before the end of
Come
the
on
match.
now, brother
they
Nero.
kicked his teeth, Jeff's tooth out.
Yes.
That was insane. We had.
I do have to say this: we all predicted the match correctly, and I think they're just moving on with the broken Matt Hardy gimmick.
Well,
I mean,
They were.
what is pretty crazy though is it seems
We'll
like
get to that, though.
Cesaro and Sheamus have with what they just did to the Hardys, they have certified themselves as the top heel tag team. And if you told anybody in January that Sheamus and Cesaro were going to be bigger heels than the Club or the Revival, I don't think anybody would have believed you.
Nope. And I love that Sheamus and Cesaro are heels again because they were great heels. Cesaro was an amazing heel.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but how many times has Cesaro been a heel? Because when they first teamed up, wasn't Cesaro the face and Sheamus was the heel?
But when Cesaro was with Jack Swagger,
They were a
as
heel team?
the Real Americans, they were heels.
Oh, they were?
Yeah.
So,
But then everyone started to like Cesaro, and he naturally became a babyface.
So, for the finish, we had the hot tag that Sheamus didn't see, and then you get Jeff throws the Swanton bomb while Sheamus is pinning Matt, and I gotta say, Matt, that must have really hurt Matt because all of that weight fell on top of him, and
he earned his pay that day for sure.
And like we said, the Sheamus and Cesaro go heel and attack the Hardys after shaking hands. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but they double teamed Jeff. So what they did was Cesaro grabbed Jeff's arms and pulled him in between the post as he was getting bro kicked.
Yep.
And so it was like twice the normal force into that ring post. I guess they're doing this because the Revival are injured.
Oh, the Revival's out on injury?
Yeah, the one guy broke his jaw.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they stated how he broke his jaw, but yeah, it's a broken jaw. And yeah, like you were saying, Dapper, I think this is the start of breaking the Hardy Boys. Now, do you guys think if they maintain this feud, whether it's to Extreme Rules or to SummerSlam,
I think it'll be SummerSlam.
Do you think Sheamus and Cesaro are going to be the team that break the Hardys? And B, does that mean that Sheamus and Cesaro win the belts?
I think they're going to win. They have to win the belts to break them. And I think it's going to go to SummerSlam because the Hardy Boys are a big name. And SummerSlam is one of the big four.
What do you think,
I
Jess?
have to agree with that. The more I'm thinking about it, that makes a lot of sense.
I told you, dude, I should be writing for this show. But
well,
they never call me back.
Hey, speaking of writing for this show, this next match swerved me like there was no tomorrow. Is everybody ready to move on?
I have to agree. We had Bayley versus Alexa Bliss for the women's title.
Never saw this coming, and she is my little Miss Bliss. I have loved her since day one.
You need to get some of that the KO duct tape, and instead of Bliss at the bottom, you need to write champ.
There we go. That should be your next shirt.
But yeah, it was a great match. I thought the finish was great. Bliss uses the ring post, got a lot of work done.
She got the shit kicked out of her. That was a hard-hitting match. I felt for my girl. I felt for her.
Well, no. Bliss didn't take that much damage. It was Bayley.
Bliss took a ton of damage and then just whooped the shit out of Bayley like
Bayley got thrown into the ring post, I think, twice, and then she got dropped from the DDT. Now, is that Bliss's finisher? Does she technically have a finisher?
Her finisher is kind of like this...
It's a modified diamond cutter.
Well, she has that, but then she also has like the flip where she lands on you, stands up, and then does it again. It's like a
kinda
shooting star press type thing.
Well, the DDT she landed was textbook and brutal as hell. Jake the Snake would be proud.
I never saw this win coming. I truly thought they were going to build Bayley as this Hulk Hogan style face that just nobody beat for a long time. And then when she did get beat, it was going to be the shock of the century.
Yeah, I thought they were going to build this feud up a little more because Bliss literally just came over to Raw. Now, do you guys think they're going to continue this back and forth feud, or do you think somebody like Sasha is going to take Bayley's place and feud with Bliss? I would personally prefer that, but they're probably going to keep this with Bayley.
I love Sasha. I love the whole Raw's women division, but I gotta say, I just have no confidence in Sasha as a champ.
Because she'll die.
I'm hoping it doesn't go that way.
The moment she gets the belt, she dies.
Yeah, she gets an injury, she hurts herself, she has to vacate, 100 different things go wrong.
She gets Tanya Hardied by the weight of the belt.
So do you guys think they're just going to continue the Bayley versus Bliss feud?
I think we're going to get
for
Bliss.
a little bit.
I think we're going to get Bliss and Bayley versus each other. I think Nia's eventually going to have to work her way into this title picture, just so it's more surprising when they finally call up. Hey now, when they finally call up Asuka.
Now, well, so you think Asuka's
somebody's there that can just destroy the entire division.
Do you think Asuka's going to get called up to Raw?
I don't think it's going to happen till
SummerSlam.
What do you think? SummerSlam?
Yep. I think that's the next big one, right?
It's going to have to be a big one for sure. I thought it was going to be Mania, but
I think they need to bring up Asuka at one of the big four, probably SummerSlam, maybe Royal Rumble, but pretty much let her win the belt, destroy everybody, giving Nia Jax time to learn how to throw a good working punch so that she can come in and be the monster that destroys the streak of Asuka.
Something I would personally love to see is Asuka come out in the Royal Rumble and win.
That'll never happen.
She can destroy everybody.
I saw on YouTube there apparently in New Japan they do intergender tag team matches.
And so does Lucha Underground.
And that's something we could talk about in our What We'd Like to See episode. But moving forward, anything else anybody wants to say about this match?
I'm excited to see what they do with Bliss as the champ.
I do too. I think she's one of the...
Same here.
I will go down saying it today. Alexa Bliss is the best women's heel they have ever had.
Ooh, don't let Charlotte hear you say that.
Surpassing Charlotte.
Yeah.
Your girl.
She can come on our podcast and I'll tell it to her face.
Wow.
Strong
yes,
words
I said
from
that,
Dapper.
Charlotte.
Well, then we had Seth Rollins. Then we had Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe, and I think this was...
No. House of Horrors was next.
Oh, that's... Okay, we had the pre-recorded House of Horrors match.
How lucky were we that Bray Wyatt's House of Horrors was only 17 minutes away from the arena?
And it was also already dark outside, even though technically in California it was still light out when they started the pay-per-view. I mean,
CJ, I feel you're breaking kayfabe.
Yeah. It was so cheesy. I honestly need to rewatch it, but I don't know if it was so cheesy it's good or so cheesy it was bad. The best spot was obviously the fridge. That was pretty awesome.
I personally enjoyed, and it was blink and you miss it, but when he first pulls up to the house, you can see Bray Wyatt upside down from one of the windows.
Really?
Yeah, it's one
That's
of those.
what he kept saying. I thought it was just a curtain.
It looks like a curtain, but if we had to rewind and
photoshopped his face
it.
onto a curtain.
He's just hanging back there like, what the fuck? I got nothing better to do tonight.
So. But Jess thinks so.
The one thing that made me slightly down on the match was the doll room. Like, really? That's supposed to be scary?
Well, I feel that Wyatt's new direction, and let's just call it what it is. He's essentially taken the whole Lovecraft mythos and is trying to incorporate it in there.
Well, what I don't
his
really
new
understand...
shirt, his new gear, his new attire, but you got to explain a little bit about how his powers work and what he's going for.
Well, what I don't really understand is
the power to lose every match but still fight a champion.
The way they book these matches, it throws me off because the way Bray, the way Bray presents himself and the way he fights and the way he speaks is very straight. It's very like, I'm menacing, I am crazy, I'm going to steal your soul kind of thing. But then
heard the whisper of the worms.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think he plays it straight. The way they book these two matches, and I'm including WrestleMania in this though, but especially this match, it's more tongue-in-cheek in presentation. Like with the house glowing in dark light or black light.
You didn't like that Walmart sparkle light thing that you stick out in your front yard?
Yeah.
That completely casts the Christmas lights show on your thing. How do you think it turned red so fast?
Look, I appreciate what they tried to do. I think it did not work. I think personally, we could have fixed this by simply strapping a GoPro on the Randy Orton's head and making it a found footage quicker match. This was the second longest match of the night, and it felt it.
Well,
I will say this, though. I enjoyed the cinematography of that match. I was like, oh my God, it looks like a movie. Until you took Randy's bad acting and made it happen.
Go ahead, Jess. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I mean, Randy just, when we get to the Marine 2, he's not an actor. He can sell you on a couple of things, but he is not going to be doing any commercials anytime soon telling me how I need to buy life insurance. He doesn't have it in him.
like on, completely sidetracked, like on Ring of Honor with Jay Lethal. How he sells knee braces.
I think this match would have been 100. And I know I'm kind of skipping ahead, but I think this match would have actually been a lot better if the finish remained in the house, and Orton was like seemingly trapped in the house until we find out what happens to him on SmackDown or on Talking Smack. We get a report on what's up, but. Do you guys want to talk about the finish of that match, or do you want to wait?
Well, can I just say because I agree with you, CJ. I think what they should have done, and it would have been perfect, it would have went with the foreshadowing of Randy Orton burning down Sister Abigail's hut out in the middle of the swamplands of Florida.
He burns that house down while Orton's in it?
It's supposed to be the bayou. It's supposed to be the bayou.
Okay, the bayou. What I would have loved to have seen is... refrigerator falls on Orton. You see that it's bent up, so Orton's still under there. Show some legs to prove it that he's under there. Bray Wyatt walks out to go with Jess's theme of he's a scepter and he has magic. Have him drop to one knee like he does for the buzzards or whatever. The two knees, arms out. And instead of just turning the little light, bright magic light red, have the house burst into flames. We know they have the pyrotechnics to do so. So then when he gets in the limo, comes back, he's like, start the count for whatever version of JoJo's disqualification word she had. And then as the count starts going, lights turn off, lights turn on, Randy Orton with a little bit of soot on him, RKO out of nowhere. That's what I would have loved to have seen. Screw Jinder Mahal and the Bollywood boys with their with their telegraphed interference.
How dare you? How dare you? And by the way, I got to give it to John. He is, according to my Excel spreadsheet.
That's on a Post-it note.
He is the only one to have predicted this match correct.
I will say I guess we're going to talk about the finish of the match. Does anybody have any ideas on how the hell Orton got back to the arena before?
Oh yeah,
Bray
no,
you didn't see the other limo parked out in the bayou?
You've never noticed how Bray teleports into the ring?
So he absorbed Bray's teleport powers.
Yeah. No, man. It's a lot like Star Trek. He got the password for the teleporter and just he was a member of the Wyatt family.
So Bray comes out to the ring to gloat. Lights go down, and then Orton surprises Bray.
Actually, my apologies, CJ. You did have this match guessed correct.
What did I put? I just put.
You put down Bray.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. But did Dapper actually say that Jinder was gonna interfere?
He actually got a bonus point.
Yeah,
for it.
Yeah. See, I didn't.
I said Jinder and the Bollywood boys are going to interfere because we all know Bray Wyatt's track record is a 25% success rate, and 20% of that 25% is with interference of somebody else because he can't win a match on his own.
We got breaking news from Jess.
Breaking news. Actually, when I recalibrate, because CJ was the only one to get the bonus point correct with number of outside interferences. We have a new leader.
We don't. He lost 4 matches.
He is now officially tied for second place.
Oh, Okay, I don't care about that.
Way to swerve me.
I was going to say
Way
we
to
have a
swerve
new
me.
placing for CJ. Third out of 3, which is the second place loser.
So Bray gets some help from Jinder Mahal and the Singh brothers.
Don't you do that to me, Jess.
And Bray Bray's
I'll
able to hit
over
the
there.
Sister Abigail to win. I don't think there's anything else more to say about this match. The only thing I will say,
No, outside interference by Jinder and my personal favorite 205 guys, it went too long. That's all I have to say.
I will say to end the discussion on this, I think this should have been the match at Mania.
Yes.
A House of Horrors pre-taped match so we could all sit out in the Florida sun and watch.
It was a lot better than what we got at
did that.
WrestleMania.
They did that at WrestleMania.
The projector
with
worked for me.
It did not
The
work.
projector
for me.
didn't work for a 5-year-old.
We couldn't even see the match because of the poor lighting situation.
It happened 3 times. Randy Orton was scared once, and he said, "Okay, the second time this is stupid. Really? You think there's 7-foot worms laying out here on the field?" No.
It would have worked better if they had actually just had Bray with a pocket full of bugs throw it on him.
That would have been better.
Cha-cha.
Dollar store bugs would work. You know, those little
I was
rubber
waiting
things
for
you
the
give
ring to
kids.
turn to lava.
All right, we're getting sidetracked. We're moving on.
All right, we're getting sidetracked. Let's move on.
I'm calling it. So we got Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe. I thought this was a great
shocked.
match.
I was
This match,
shocked at the finish.
this match just proves who your next number 1 contender is.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
I fucking called this a mile away.
Well,
I was so disappointed. Me and CJ had a perfect 30-minute discussion on how to book this till next WrestleMania,
yeah,
and they fucked it up.
they fucked it up.
I want to be the first to say Samoa Joe's overrated.
Now in
I
WWE, he
I'm
is.
not going to agree with that statement.
Everywhere
I think
else
Samoa,
he's been,
I think they're
he
not
is
booking
Brock
him.
Lesnar.
They're
Poor
being,
booking, weak choices.
They're being pretty basic in the way that they're booking. We know that Joe can basically do anything in the ring, and it seems like he's I don't know if he's holding back or if the booking's holding back. But,
It's the booking.
Booking's holding him back.
um,
He's supposed to.
We are
be
never gonna get
Brock
to.
Lesnar.
We're never gonna get to a Joe Brock Lesnar match with the way this is going.
Especially if Sami Zayn beats him. Like, come on.
How
well,
does that Muslim beat him?
I think this
We do
was
not
Seth
support
Rollins'
Jess's comment.
coming out party. I don't know.
I
You
will
guys-
never stop hating Sami Zayn for that fact alone. And that's not that's not a damnation of all Muslims. That's just Sami Zayn.
Moving
And
on.
I feel the same about
moving
that other
on.
Canadian
You
Muslim.
can
gender.
You can yell at.
He
Jess's
is the
comments
number
on-
1 contender.
He had to steal it. Same way he stole the title. Same way he stole the Islamic gimmick.
All right, guys. All right, let's
He is
let's
not
talk about the
Islamic.
match.
He is Sheik, and he is hard body Mahal. You will show respect.
Yes,
Let's
with
get
those
back to
steroid
the
nipples.
actual match. We can talk about that stuff on our Raw and SmackDown.
We should
episode.
we could have a whole nother podcast on why I hate him.
Okay, so
Hey, I just want to be the first. All right, let's move on. Let's finish this
I
up.
wanted
It's
to,
going
I wanted
long.
to talk about Seth because
And racist.
There was one question I really wanted to get your guys' input on since you guys have been watching it a little more than I have. How bad is Rollins' knee? Is he playing it up? Is it like not 100%?
It's as bad as the script needs it to be.
Well,
Yes.
that's what I mean though. Do you think it's legitimate?
No.
No. That's why Samoa Joe's knee bar was put on sideways. He wasn't even
Because-
hyperextending the knee.
Well, I'm thinking he heard it legitimately, and it's better because I thought this was Seth Rollins' coming out party as far as the match was concerned, because he did a lot.
I'm pretty
of
sure
moves.
Seth is straight.
He did a lot of moves I didn't know he could do, because I haven't really been paying attention since like the Shield and stuff. That Falcon Arrow was dope.
I honestly believe he tore his ACL when he wrestled Kane in the house show. It takes, now, coming from my background, it takes at least 8 months to heal and return to 100%. Research shows it takes a year. So I believe he is babying his knee, And because he might have a little twinge here or there, he has Triple H and he has Samoa Joe target the knee as a weak point so it could give him the luxury of botching a move if he needed to or preventing him from doing other moves. But if it was as bad as they want us to believe, Triple H would have not took a crutch to it and actually hit him in the knee to bend the crutch.
Well, when speaking of like how we
and now
feel,
back to kayfabe.
how we're feeling that
we are just killing it left and right.
I honestly I can't make up my mind whether I like the finish or not. It does do the job of maintaining Joe's monster heel status. And
heel status? The guy loses more than Bray Wyatt at this point.
I don't think he's
technically. Shut your mouth.
I don't think he's lost. Besides, I think this was his first loss.
I will have you know, I am drinking a fine Indian wine in honor of Jinder Mahal.
God.
Somebody with a true winning streak.
It was a little bit of an anticlimactic finish, though. And what I want to know, though, is do you think we're going to get, obviously not right now, but do you guys think we're ever going to get a Joe versus Braun fight?
I think they're going to do a Joe versus Brock fight first.
No, he said Braun.
I know, but I think they need to go Brock first because Brock's eventually going to leave, and Braun is going to be the new powerhouse for 10 plus years.
Well, it looks like they're setting up, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I think they're setting up Braun versus Brock first.
I don't know, like they have to do something. I think that's pretty much
what they're setting up for either Extreme Rules or for SummerSlam.
I don't know. I mean, if they do, I hope it's good, but because our previous run-through did not have my fantasy booking, I think that how the match should have been, because we can all agree that we didn't appreciate Seth Rollins' roll-up on Samoa Joe. Of course you did, because you're you.
Well, if you rewatch the replay,
I'm not dropping this. Samoa Joe is a joke. He needs to be let go. He should be released.
His one shoulder was up. It wasn't even down to begin with.
Guys, Samoa Joe is so out of shape. That was just his shoulder might have been up, but his back fat was just laying there.
Oh my god! All right,
the rules clearly state shoulders.
That Brock Lesnar should have been on this pay-per-view to defend his title because it's been 30 days, but nobody's bringing that up either.
We need to get Charlotte in on the podcast so that Hodap can tell her to her face that she's not the best woman heel, and then we need to get
when she becomes
Joe
the
on
first
the
Women's Raw and Women's SmackDown champion, then she will be the best heel.
Well,
you want to get Joe on here? I'll talk to you about how Samoan he actually is. You want to do this?
I'm
He's
sure
way more
Joe
Samoan than Nia Jax.
He's as Samoan as I am, and I'm from. You know what?
No.
Let's leave it at that.
He's more Samoan than The Rock is.
All right, guys. We're getting off track.
Is this just because I'm drinking heavily to finish up this podcast?
Yes.
Are you trolling me?
So we speaking of Braun, we had our main event. We had Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman. I would say surprisingly, Reigns did a decent job selling the arm and shoulder. There were some spots where it wasn't. You could see him obviously using it.
Of course, like breathing with cracked ribs.
Well, I will say, I don't know. Well, that was the big thing that he wasn't selling really well was the whole broken ribs. Like, every single move. Like, if he does a spear, he should basically pass out from the pain.
Yes. I did like, though, the internal organ beatdown with the random blood clot he throws up on the side of a wall.
Do you guys think Reigns is getting better at selling, or do you think they just taped up his shoulder and arm so much that he couldn't move it?
Well, I
want to actually interject before we get too far into this match by saying I have to really, round of applause for Roman for going through with this match, especially after the loss of his brother. I know that can't be easy first day back on the job, and he has to take a fucking beating like he did.
Yeah.
Moving on from that, I have to say, I don't think Roman has any sort of talent problem. I think it's simply a scripting issue.
Oh, I honestly think that it's the John Cena problem, where he's a good he's a good worker, but the way he's booked and pushed makes the crowd hate him. And
as I said earlier in this very podcast itself, he beats people too quick that he doesn't deserve to beat as fast as he did. And I've heard it from every angle. First, from he was the guy on the Shield we all got behind, to we need to show him as strong so that he's a competitor. I've seen it both ways, and I don't agree with any of it.
I don't know where I heard this, but I think it was on a different podcast I was listening to. But somebody pitched the idea where we wouldn't have this Roman Reigns problem if Reigns was the one that betrayed the Shield originally. That would have made everything work out a lot better. Seth would have stayed face, Dean would still be crazy, and then Roman would be the monster heel.
I think, now this is just my opinion, I think that everyone liked Roman Reigns in the Shield because you had 3 guys beating up on 1 to 2 people, and Roman Reigns was the closer. Everyone liked that because it was believable. You had Seth Rollins, the good wrestler, Dean Ambrose, the crazy one, beating people down, and then Roman Reigns finishing it with the 2 moves.
Well, and also
just to put the exclamation point.
Also,
now,
with Dean and with Seth, they could talk.
Yes.
Reigns, that's probably the weakest part of his game.
Yes.
Undoubtedly, but I believe he's overcome it. I just think he's sticking
He's getting
to.
better. He's getting better. But the one thing I think that is faulting him is, like Jess said, he's beating people he shouldn't beat as fast as he does. Just like in the Royal Rumble, you had, I think the first Royal Rumble he was in, you had the Big Show and Kane going at each other. You have people like Big E, Jack Swagger, big dudes, coming up to one of them, trying to flip him over the ropes and not able to. And then you have Roman Reigns, who's probably 220 at best when he soaks his hair down in his flak jacket, and he grabs one Big Show leg under one arm, one Kane leg under the other, and flips them like it was nothing. To where you're like, okay, you're making this guy look like Vin Diesel in Fast and the Furious.
That's
he's
actually
Superman.
basically who he is.
Yeah, where he takes a bullet in the shoulder, digs it out himself, and then beats Paul Walker's face into the ground with that shoulder.
Wait, you're telling me you can't do that in real life?
Whoa, spoilers alert.
Yeah.
Did I miss this Fast and the Furious?
I think he was
Yeah,
actually
like
fighting
6
The
years
Rock.
ago.
I think he was fighting The Rock, Dapper, and not...
No, it was Paul Walker when
Paul
he found out Letty was set up by Paul Walker. But that's another podcast completely.
Yeah, that'll be on our movie podcast coming soon. But yeah, we got the usual spots. We got the 2 power slams to get the pin, and I guess that maintains that, you know, even while injured, Reigns is not an easy win. But Braun did take good advantage of the Reigns injury.
The final thing I think we need to bring up with this match is, and I feel it should have come up because it is Payback, when is the ambulance union going to attack Braun? Because he's taken out not 1, but 2 ambulances at this point.
Do you love though the fact that after that they were like, we just want to say that Roman Reigns is injured and Braun Strowman is hurt too, by running through a door.
Yeah, well, so yeah, that's...
Into a set of empty Home Depot boxes. Great product placement, by the way.
Yes, right up there next to the Coca-Cola machine.
Yes.
Well, I actually wanted to point something out. Braun is not perfect. I don't know if you guys noticed on those ring post spots. But
TJ owes everybody a beer.
Yeah. But Braun, you could see Braun obviously slapping the ring post. It's not subtle at all.
That's what I'm saying with Nia Jax too.
Yeah.
They're both great as monsters. Build them as monsters, but don't put them in these high-profile matches so soon to where you're going to see stuff like that. I mean, Nia Jax has the luxury of the hair, but when your hair is a foot long and you go to slam your head into the turnbuckle with your hand there and your hair flops forward, that gives you a foot of distance to screw it up. I should not see your hair go right past the turnbuckle and there's still 6 inches between your hand and the tip of your hair, and they're like, "Oh, good God, my skull! I'm
So
concussed."
so at the end of the match, after Braun finally gets the pin, he's not done with him yet. He grabs the steel steps and just commits first degree assault with
Yes,
a deadly weapon.
And I love it that they're now on the network to where we can have some color when it is needed.
Yeah.
Yes, this match definitely needed to show some of the color, which is, for those not in the know, blood.
Yes, like Matt Hardy's Crimson Mask.
And I don't know if you guys saw or heard the crowd, but we got some thank you Strowman chants, and also some "you deserve it" to Reigns when he was left in the ring by himself.
Something to bring up about the arena: it's actually known as the Shark Tank because how sound travels in the arena is straight down to the center. So you heard every chant, every pop, everything going on in this pay-per-view, which I think really worked for it. The only thing they did cut out, according to people who were there, was the House of Horror match did not work. It was booed endlessly.
Oh, really? And also, for people that don't watch hockey, it's called the Shark Tank because the San Jose Sharks play there.
That is the other reason, yes.
Just wanted to throw it out there.
What?
I think Braun is certified the top babyface on Raw, but that's just me.
Only when he fights Roman Reigns.
Yeah. I do have to say, though, and this is recording, so I can't take it back. This entire feud, is slowly getting Roman over with me. Slowly.
It is. I told Jess when we watched the pay-per-view, I said this reminded me of the pay-per-view of him and Brock, where I enjoyed the fact of Roman Reigns getting beat down, then looking at Brock smiling like the crazy Samoan he is, going like, "Is that all you got?" It reminded me of when Mick Foley handcuffed himself to the ring post as The Rock took, I believe, 16 chair shots to Mick's face, and Mick kept an I Quit match, and Mick kept saying,
hard to watch.
Yeah, and Mick kept saying, "Is that all you got? One more time."
Yeah, until he was knocked out.
That craziness gets over. That's what he is.
The one thing that is impossible for me to forget, and it seems like the WWE is trying to do whatever it can to make us forget, is they are not bringing up the fact that Roman essentially retired The Undertaker. They're doing whatever they can to not reference that, to not bring it up. He hasn't said it's his yard now or anything like that. So
because his ribs are broken.
Yeah, he can't speak.
There still is the theory floating around that he will lose the next pay-per-view to Strowman. It will be a buried alive match, and he will return as a Roman Taker.
Oh my god.
No.
Oh my god. If they
That's as worse as the WWE Ninja Turtle action figures.
I would
which you own all 4 of.
Yes,
I would actually be okay with that because the WWE, I am confident the WWE does not have the balls to do it.
No, my heart.
Yeah. Do you think there's any chance we get a double turn at SummerSlam?
In terms of
Roman and Braun? Braun goes babyface and Reigns because he keeps losing, he just flips out.
I think they will never turn Roman Reigns heel for the sole fact it gives the fans the stupid marks that do the "you can't wrestle," all that stuff, "we hate you." It gives them what they want, and that's the last thing they want to do.
I think you're talking about me, but
yes, I don't want to give you any satisfaction.
I think it would just be YouTube gold, comedy gold, just the epitome of amazing to watch. Strowman's first, little shoot interview where he's like, "I used to have rabbits, and I pet them till their heads fell off. Run." And then have him come out there and be like, "Come on, guys, I can fight. I'm going to beat Roman. I'm going to be the champ. Go eat your vegetables." Yeah. That would be comedy fucking gold. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That is something that would just whiplash from looking both ways.
So can I just say one thing? This was the last match on the card, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Excel spreadsheet, who won?
Yes. The final scores after recalculation. with the top score of our first ever predictions champion is the Dapper.
And what does the champion win, Jess?
The champion wins a belt, John.
Oh my god.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
You swerved me.
You son of a bitch.
Da, 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 da.
I hope you're
Off
ready
there,
to
we're
mail
going to
that
have to
over.
discuss where you got back.
Yeah, I hope you're ready to mail that over to me when we do backlash predictions.
Am I about to walk out of my garage and find mine missing?
That's what you get for saying Jinder Mahal is great.
Oh my god. So
To be
but you pulled a
continued
Jinder
on
Mahal.
Talking
You
Smack.
stole his belt.
I am the
any-
Barasha Shah Shah Shah.
Any
Whatever
any
he
final?
said.
Oh wait, we didn't speak about the ambulance spot. So after the match,
I said, when is Strowman going to have a rematch against the ambulance union?
Well, we
Because he
didn't
has
really-
killed 2 ambulances.
we didn't really go into detail into what happened. So Braun
And he-
tries to blindside Reigns again, and Reigns somehow dodges and actually tackles the door off the hinges, and then Reigns uses the other door to just crush Roman and apparently injure him. They said he tore his rotator cuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
apparently that's a real injury.
How long is that injury, Dapper?
That injury, a torn rotator cuff,
It's pretty
you're
bad.
probably looking about 6 months.
Holy crap. I hope that's not real. Anyway.
You know what is real
so,
is that prediction champion.
So, closing comments on Payback, guys.
I am thoroughly disappointed in myself for tying with you, CJ. It disgusts me. I have finished one bottle of wine during this podcast, and I am disgusted with myself for tying with you. Not the drinking.
My closing thoughts is the true WWE, WCW, whatever you want to call it now, wrestling fan, not sports entertainment fan, wrestling fan, won the very first one to get the double winged eagle title belt.
Okay, I'm talking about the actual pay-per-view, guys, not the predictions.
The
I
think the
pay-per-view,
I think the pay-per-view was
probably
fine.
the best pay-per-view I've seen this year.
I would give it a B. Probably a B plus. In that range.
I would rate this overall. Yeah, I'd give it about a 7-8. It had enough swerves that I was impressed.
And Hodap, are you really putting this over Elimination Chamber?
Was that this year?
Yeah.
That was a solid.
That was, I
pay-per-view.
think, the best pay-per-view of the year so far.
All I remember was the Fatal 4-Way so Bray Wyatt can finally win something. That's all I remember from it.
We also had the
Women's championship
women's
match.
championship.
We had the
Did we have
who-
tag
in that?
titles.
Yeah.
Who was in the women's championship match? Was it
It
the
was
16-time
It was
champion
Naomi,
in
I think,
3
whatever.
years?
You're cutting out a lot on me. Let's cut it here and we'll get back to it.
All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for our episode on Payback. But stay tuned because we're gonna do have a discussion on what happened on Raw and SmackDown and the aftermath of Payback. So that'll be episode 3, and we hope to you guys tune in and leave some comments below.
This is your champ signing off.
Fuck you, Dapper.